Hello and welcome to this session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us today Gail Anderson, who is both a Groundbreaker ambassador and a Java champion. Gail, welcome.
Thank you, Javed. I'm really happy to be here.
Likewise. So I understand you're going to be presenting at the first ever J Champions Conference. And I guess so your presentation is about JavaFX in the mobile space, is how we play the game. That sounds like a fascinating title. So how do
Yeah,
you
well,
play the
it's
game?
that's the title because we actually decided to develop a little mobile app game.
Uh-huh.
And the reason is that we wanted to show the whole round trip sequence from having an idea for a mobile application and going through all the steps necessary to get it actually to the app stores. And
Mhm.
so we've done that. And we chose a game because we wanted a simple application, an
Uh-huh.
application that didn't involve uh, user sign-ins or using the camera, or we just wanted it really simple
Mhm.
or complicated menus. It's a single view, but we show how with JavaFX, you can use the exact same source code for both iOS and Android devices, and we go through all the steps. And this game that we're showing, it's in the stores right now, so you can download it and play it.
And what
And
kind of
it
game is it, just out of curiosity?
so it's called Mini Golf Tea Time, and it's a mini golf game. So you go. It's like a cross between golf and pool. So you
Uh-huh.
go through. There's 9 holes, and they get some are absolutely harder than others. And
Uh-huh.
you just use your touch events to aim the lines, and it bounces off these like mini golf barriers,
Uh-huh.
and you try to get the lowest score. And you can decide how strong the shot is, but there's a power meter. And the game was actually designed years ago
Uh-huh.
by my son, who
Wow.
answered a Sun Microsystems had a coding challenge back when JavaFX was JavaFX script, and he did this for that. Um, he had finished college, and he was bored, and and we were writing a book on JavaFX script, and he was helping us out. So that's kind of how it evolved. So I said, why don't I port this to modern JavaFX? And so I did.
Okay. So I won't make you repeat your whole presentation, but you give us like some of the so you talked about some of the steps to actually taking this game and to going out and deploying it in. So what are the steps? I mean, or even just stepping back, just give us the idea. I mean, I think everyone has this dream. They'd like to make a movie. They'd like to make a game.
Or a mobile app, and
Or a
and
mobile
and
app.
really this is a game, so it's just an example. But the thing that brings it all together is the fact that Gluon, who is in partnership with Oracle and is the custodian of JavaFX, they're working with another group out of Oracle that does the GraalVM. And
Mhm.
what the GraalVM brings to the table is ahead of time compilation and the ability to create native images. And what Gluon does is it has this thing called Gluon substrate that allows all the pieces to pull together the native libraries. So when you create, normally, the Java mantra has been write once, run anywhere.
Uh-huh.
But in the mobile space, the JVM doesn't really work. Apple doesn't let bytecode to execute on in the device, and on the Android space, um, the Java that they have is not standard Java. So if you want to use Java and JavaFX for your UI, this is the way that you go. And it's actually nice because many companies have mobile apps. It may not be their main business, but they use mobile apps to enhance their business. Banks, um, internet providers all have mobile apps. And so usually what they have to do is hire an iPhone group or iOS group and then an Android group, because they're totally different application spaces, but with JavaFX, you can use the same source code. So there's a lot, this setup has evolved. And with the GraalVM, it has become a lot easier because you can now you're running standard Java. So you're not running some old version of Java that gets manipulated to work in the native space, but it is the Graal JDK is based on JavaFX 11, and then the next one will be the next LTS release that'll be based on that. So it's standard Java, and JavaFX also is evolving, and it's the most recent JavaFX.
Okay. So when you kind of bringing all of this together, are there some like, and again, I'm not going to ask you to enumerate everything that you're covering in your presentation, but are there some best practices you recommend, things to avoid, anything along that kind of line?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in terms of the development space, the way that we approached it was to develop, and I would recommend this, using the, if you're going to the mobile space, is using the mobile form factor, but just doing a desktop application, knowing that the mouse events will get translated to touch events, probably. Because the edit, compile, run cycle for the regular JVM bytecode is very fast. The cycle that actually creates the native image takes a lot longer, and you don't want to have to, when you're doing your testing and designing phase, you don't want to have to build native images, but you can do a, initial application, build a native image, see how that works on your device, but you have to integrate using the JVM for rapid development and then go to the native image. There's, like I said, it's evolving. And one of the newest things is that Gluon is taking advantage of this thing called GitHub Actions. And GitHub Actions lets you use a GitHub hosted environment to build your machine. And that means that you don't always need to use, so what I had to do, because I was doing this before the GitHub Actions, I need a Mac to build the iOS one. I need a Linux system to build the Android one. And when I went to, I have a Mac, but I didn't have a Linux system. So I had to decide, am I going to go get new hardware or use a virtual machine? I decided to go with the virtual machine, and that had some bumps along the way. I didn't give it enough space. I didn't give it enough memory. I had to go back and rebuild it. And these are all really time-consuming annoyances that have nothing to do with.
So would you recommend that route, or would you recommend, like, if you are going to go down the parallel path, just to have two separate machines, one for?
Well, one thing to explore, and I haven't used it, so I can't talk about it from experience, is that with the GitHub Actions, you don't need a Linux machine, because you can use the GitHub hosted machine, and it will download everything that you need. But to me, that's possibly the way to go. You can also do that with the Mac, but the Mac is a little bit trickier because you do need the Mac for the initial developer ID and some signing things. And just as a whole, the programming part I found really fun and really, exciting to do. But the more challenging things are just the little nitty details of getting the correct provisioning files for your signing thing, and following the rules of the stores on what you're allowed to do and not, what is the age group. I mean, this was just a really simple app, so I didn't have to worry about, was it appropriate for children or not, or things like that. But I just wanted to go through the whole round trip cycle of getting the app and getting it on both stores. And so that was my goal.
Like a really exciting session, and encourage all the viewers out there to check it out. So I have to ask you one kind of unrelated question. Seems like you got a great library behind you, and as all the libraries are kind of closed right now, if someone was to come to your little library, like what's one book you would really recommend?
You didn't warn me you're going to ask this. Well, if
Oh,
they're
I
interested
just
in
thought,
JavaFX, I
I
would
just thought.
recommend this book because I'm a contributor.
Okay.
But yeah, so my husband and I have a training business.
Okay.
And when you have a training business, you collect a lot of books because we typically provide books to
Uh-huh.
our students. I mean, the training space is changing because of COVID, and
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's going to go back to live classrooms anytime real soon.
Okay.
But so we collect a lot of books because we need to be experts in a lot of different topics.
Uh-huh.
So, but one book, well,
And I don't want to mean to put you on the spot. It's just something like your go-to thing.
well, well, no, I don't know if it was a go-to thing, but I think that Brian Getz's book on concurrency might be one of the top books
Try and get
that I
some
have.
currency. Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember the title off my
Okay,
head, but
that's fine. Well, I'm sure the
it has
folks
the
out there
two
can Google,
trains in the front.
can Google or Amazon it. All right then. Well, Gail, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for sharing and all the best.
Okay, thank you very much, Javed. You too.